Good afternoon, this is your captain speaking. We'll be flying at an altitude of 37,000 feet at an airspeed of about 400 miles an hour.
Since the dawn of time, man has cast his gaze toward the horizon and dreamed of fantastic thoughts. So powerful this dream, it has permeated legend, lore, and myth. You might think that airplanes are a modern invention, but it was the great thinkers of ancient history who first aspired to break the bonds of Earth and soar toward the heavens. Men such as Leonardo da Vinci, who envisioned fantastic flying machines half a millennium ago, would inspire such brilliant minds as Isaac Newton, Daniel Bernoulli, and George Cayley, who laid the foundation for achieving man's ultimate dream.
In my work as a mathematician, I, Isaac Newton, formulated the laws of motion and universal gravity based on such observations as an object in motion tends to stay in motion, and objects are attracted to one another by an invisible force called gravity. And though I wrote those observations more than 300 years ago, they have shaped the views of scientists through today and led the way toward achieving man's dream of flight. Isn't that nice?
My name is Daniel Bernoulli. I lived a short while after Isaac Newton, and I too was a mathematician. In my work, I was able to use math to figure out how pressure affects objects. My Bernoulli principle is what explains the process of lift, which is how an airplane can fly. My work is still studied by every pilot and aircraft mechanic all over the world.
Despite legendary images of winged men and the crazy contraptions dreamed by Da Vinci, man's first foray into real flight was something much more simple. The first manned balloon flights were launched in France in the late 1700s and took advantage of a principle as old as the sun itself. Air, when heated, rises. And that same hot air, if trapped inside of a balloon, will cause it to rise as well. With simple manned flight conquered, it wasn't long before the first true giant of aviation, a British engineer named George Cayley, created the very first fixed-wing flying machine, leading to the era of the modern airplane.
I designed the very first unpowered aeroplane, called a glider, which could carry man aloft, through the skies, free as a bird. But before I could do that, I had to identify the four main elements of flight: weight, thrust, drag, and lift, which are used by all pilots to this day. In fact, because of my discoveries, I am known as the father of aerodynamics.
Over the next few years, air travel became closer to what it looks like today, thanks to the advent of the first controllable powered airplane, as created by American air pioneers Wilbur and Orville Wright.
Wright's the name. Orville Wright. You might know my brother Wilbur and me from being the first to ever fly a real airplane. But before we could learn to fly, we had to learn how basic mechanics work. So we built everything from bicycles to gliders, even printing presses.
In 1903 in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, we built the Wright Flyer 1. It was the first ever powered airplane. My brother Orville here won a coin toss and was the first man to fly under power.
It was a short flight, only 120 feet, less than half the length of a football field, and I only went 6 miles an hour.
But that first flight, it changed everything for us and the entire world.
In 1903, the Wright brothers applied for a patent on their invention, simply referred to as a flying machine, based on a profound 3-axis control system, which would serve as the fundamental control system of every aircraft built. From this point, man's imagination went wild, with some of the craziest contraptions ever built to try and conquer the skies. As airplanes became more refined, it wasn't long before people realized that with air travel, it was possible to deliver things faster than ever before. And since almost nothing was more important to deliver quickly than mail, it wasn't long before complex airmail routes began to spread across the northeastern United States. Brave pilots such as famed aviator Charles Lindbergh faced storms and darkness in tiny biplanes, eager to prove their mettle and make a name for themselves. With the great success of airmail delivery, commercial aviation pioneers like C.R. Smith soon began to transform aircraft from simple delivery vehicles to modern-age people movers, thus ushering in a new era of American business, destination air travel. In 1934, after a series of deals and mergers, American Airlines was created, and the first great U.S. commercial air company was born. Since American Airlines stayed focused on the big cities, many other regional air companies were able to service smaller, more rural communities. Carriers such as All American Aviation, founded by longtime aviation enthusiast Dr. Little Adams, offered the very first airmail pickup system, where planes could actually collect a bag of mail without landing, using a hook and winch system.
The secret to success in commercial aviation was mail delivery. That was proven. But with mail is everything, time is money. I figured if I could reduce the time it takes to pick up the mail, airlines would spend that time making more deliveries, thus making a greater profit.
As aircraft and air travel became more refined, one plane in particular, the famous DC-3, would eventually be recognized as one of the most important aircraft ever made. What's more, the circumstances that led to its creation are almost as legendary as the plane itself. American Airlines CEO C.R. Smith wanted a large-scale passenger plane for the backbone of the American fleet and called famed aircraft designer Donald Douglas to fill the order. But Douglas was already back-ordered with the production of the DC-2 and didn't want to spend the time or money to create a whole new production line. However, after a lengthy phone call and a deal made by Smith to buy the first 20 models of the plane,
something better. Douglas, I want you to build me the best plane ever made.
Douglas finally agreed, and the DC-3 was born. The amenities of the DC-3 made air travel instantly popular across the U.S., and thanks to the expanded air routes established by the U.S. military during the war, businessmen and even families could now easily take to the skies, reaching destinations never before seen. For the next 2 decades, air travel grew more refined, with larger, more comfortable planes being continuously developed. And although this form of travel was novel and much faster than going by car, train, or ship, it still had its ups and downs. Bumps and jumps were an accepted side effect of air travel, as the old prop planes of the time couldn't fly fast enough or high enough to avoid air turbulence. Seeing this as simply another problem to be solved, airline engineering pioneers like Frank Whittle from Great Britain and Hans von Ohain from Germany discovered that a specialized engine could generate a faster thrust, called a jet, which could propel an aircraft higher and faster than traditional propellers. By 1959, American Airlines was the first domestic airline to fly its own jets, the incredible Boeing 707. Able to fly faster, farther, and higher than previous generations of prop planes, the 707 ushered in the jet age of flight, dominating passenger air travel throughout the 1960s and 70s and helping American Airlines give passengers access to more destinations than ever before. But advancements in speed and comfort weren't the only improvements to come along. A relatively new technique of seeing farther than the human eye could perceive had made its way from the battlefields of World War II to the cockpits of commercial aircraft. Radio detection and ranging, or radar as it is more commonly known, was rapidly becoming a sixth sense to help pilots find and avoid bad weather. And while pilots learned their way around these new instruments in the cockpit, complex practice machines called simulators helped pilots refine their skills in a safer environment, right on the ground. But pilots aren't the only ones who get training. Flight attendants do as well. Taught to handle everything from in-cabin emergencies to unusual circumstances and a variety of security procedures, the flight attendants at American Airlines are concerned with your comfort, but more importantly, your safety on each and every flight. Over the years, planes have evolved from meager modes of transportation to become more fun and efficient vehicles with more comfortable interiors and even in-flight entertainment. And through the decades, everyone, from families and business travelers to presidents and celebrities, has enjoyed the convenience and luxury of air travel on American Airlines. Now, planes in the American Airlines fleet from such leading manufacturers as Airbus and Boeing offer passengers quieter, more efficient, and nicer travel than ever, with everything from first-class accommodations and sleeping compartments to wireless phone communication, in-flight entertainment, gourmet meals, and more. Today, at any given time, there are approximately 5,000 planes in the skies above the U.S. that all need to land, offload passengers and cargo, then refuel and take off again. This takes an incredible amount of precise scheduling and coordination from the many specialized departments right here at American Airlines. Air travel has also helped make the world smaller, with routes connecting the United States to countries across the globe. Air travel is now world travel, with the farthest destinations less than a day away. Today, the future of air travel is brighter than ever, with two of the nation's best-known air companies, American Airlines and U.S. Airways, coming together to create the world's largest airline. This historic event now brings more opportunities to passengers than ever before and marks a new milestone in air travel. If you have ever flown on a plane, whether it be for business or for pleasure, you have been a part of the great tradition of flight. And no matter where you go, at American Airlines, we'll always be there to bring you safely